Hello everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at a few decks and book that just entered my collection. Okay, I just want to start the video with something that is a bit sad. Not the deck, I am. I made a video, I believe, at the end of January this year. That was about tarot decks that I use and also a custom spread in the event of a passing of a fur baby, because my Missy had just passed away in the middle of January. And so I have to say something that I know that everyone will go, really? So I know that it's been a long time, it's been a few months already, but I'm still grieving for her, and I don't know if it makes sense. And mind you, I'm the first person to say you need to understand that grief is very personal, and so it could be 6 years, or 6 months, but it acts in very different ways depending on how we reflect on that. And I just found myself very sad, and I was talking to one of my members, and I was saying that because I'm very direct with my members. Like I don't feel like I have to keep up appearances, which is, I'm never a phony, like I never really fake anything, but I do feel that I need to have like a presentable kind of persona when I do a video for the general subscribers, and then with my members I can actually let myself go a little bit. And so I was talking to one of them and I was saying, I'm still brokenhearted. I'm still really sad and I miss her so much, and and I still cry. And I was saying that as in, can you believe that I'm still crying? How weak am I? And she's like, well, you're the first one to say, and it's true. Whenever it's easier for me to tell others, you take your time. It's okay to feel the pain. It's okay to go through it, and everyone is different. And then when it comes to me, I'm like, you're a weak ass bitch. I mean, come on. It's been a few months. Move on. You shouldn't be so weak and everything. And and this really lovely person, she was like, just do what you're preaching to others, and give yourself time. And after a couple of days, I received a present from this person, so thank you so much. It's a deck. So it's this one here. It's written and illustrated by Nonara, and it's called The First Aid for Broken Hearts Tarot. And I haven't opened it yet, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do a first impression of this deck, because I was really happy to receive it, and it was such a kind gesture. And at the same time, it made me even sadder, because I'm like, it's almost as if this were convalidating my feelings, and at the same time I was fighting against them. But when I got this deck as a gift, I thought to myself, it's okay to be still sad. So anyway, let's have a look at this deck. Okay, so I removed the wrap. So it's a really nice product. You can feel it immediately. It's the publisher is Sacred Scribe Publishing. I have heard of it, and I do believe that I might have another couple of decks by this publisher, but it's not, let's say, one of the major ones in the tarot community, in the tarot industry. And it opens up like this, like a book. Keep faith, keep the faith. The world is full of miracles. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so there's also here what looks like an intro card with these backs, nice backs. May each card serve as solace and guiding affirmation. May every word and symbol illuminate the path towards healing a broken heart and growth in the shuffle of life's uncertainties. May you find peace in the whispers of ancient wisdom and clarity amidst the fog of doubt. May divination be a companion in your courage, resilience, and hope with each draw. That is so powerful. May the gentle touch of these cards often offer reassurance and empowerment on your sacred journey, Nonara. Really nice intro, I may say. Very kind, yeah, I can actually feel the power of manifestation of these words. Really strong. And let's have a look. So I don't know, I don't even know, that's a really nice yellow. I like this kind of egg yolk kind of yellow, really like it. I have a t-shirt like that, even though I'm blonde, but you know. So I have had this deck on my wish list for a while. I never pulled the trigger because of several reasons. I believe that it was not available in Australia until probably very recently, and then when it was about, it was not cheap. It is a mass market deck, but sometimes, you know, especially when it needs to come from the US, it's true that if you have an account with Amazon Prime, for example, you don't pay for shipping. If you're based in Australia and the item is in the US, I'm absolutely not promoting Amazon, I'm just stating the facts. However, what I need to say is that it is my understanding that, yeah, it's true you don't pay for shipping, but the price of the deck is a lot more expensive than if you would get it in the US. And so it feels like you have to pay for shipping even though it's incorporated in the price of the item that you're buying. I'm not, you know, this is just something I really don't want to get into. The distribution in Australia has become either more sporadic and very random. Like sometimes I go to bookstores in Australia and I find some decks that are, you know, you can't find Los Carabao decks, you can't find US Games decks unless they're 5 years old. But then you find a deck that I won't name it because it's actually a nice deck, but it's by an obscure publishing company, and you're like, unless someone ordered it in, but then why didn't they get it, you know? So it's really weird. So in any case, I've had it in my wish list. I'm very happy that it's here. I've only seen a couple of cards, and I know that there's a few tarot tubers that did a walkthrough. I did not check it out because I really had the feeling that it would make me even more emotional. And so if I do get emotional, my apologies, but let's have a look. So it does come with a book. Let me see, I'm imagining it's just, oh, okay, super duper tiny font, but I do have my super duper glasses so I can actually read it. So this is from, edited by Leah Showman, designs by Leah Showman. All the artwork though is by Nonara. Okay. And table of contents, introduction, how to use the cards, single card pool, 3 cards pool for healing, 6 card pool for growth, that's interesting. And then you do have all of the major arcanas. Then it starts with the court cards. Okay, so we got princesses and princes, queens and kings. And then it goes into all of the minors, fair enough. And then journey of, about a creator and journey of the tarot. The introduction says, to all broken hearts. My first encounter with tarot was a decade ago when I was miserably heartbroken by the turmoil of life's trials. Gripped by the crushing weight of challenges, I sought solace, much like reaching for a first aid kit in moments of emergency. Okay, hence the name, First Aid for Broken Hearts Tarot. I like that, I like that. Often the phrase broken heart is associated with a romantic relationship, but a host of other emotional upheavals and heartbreaking farewells from friends, family, jobs and places we didn't want to depart from, and also leave us with broken hearts. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Oh, okay, so Nara in Korean means nation with no so no nation basically, with no boundaries, no separation. We unite beyond borders, we are one. Is she Korean? Let me just double check, because it does say about the, oh yeah, hello. Mingjun Johnson is the Nonara, is the creator behind the First Aid for Broken Hearts Tarot. With a rich background as a curator in contemporary art, specializes in photography and public art. She has fostered collaborations with renowned artists, prestigious museums, and leading galleries worldwide during her tenure as director of exhibitions at various Swedish institutions. She has curated and produced over 70 shows. Okay, originating from South Korea, resided and worked in France, Belgium, and Sweden. Okay, 감사합니다. 감사합니다, Minjun. Let's have a look, guys. So 2 of my closest friends are from Busan, or the area around Busan. So they always teach me a couple of words, but ironically, I cannot say that I speak Korean, but I can order food in Korean because Korean is probably as a whole my favorite food by far. Like I just love kimchi, and I love the Korean style fried chicken. I love galbijim. I love japchae. I love tteokbokki. So many beautiful, really gorgeous dishes in the Korean cuisine. So let's have a look. This is first impression, so please bear with me. I may make mistakes. I may say that I'm, not liking a card, and then 2 months from now I'll be talking about that card and I love it. It's me. Big cards, by the way. I didn't expect that to be, it reminds me, and also this first card here, it reminds me a lot of the Tarot of the Mystical Moments, which one, by Catherine Weltz. And it may be because of the size and also because of this kind of first image that we see here. So there is a little bit of feeling of surrealism in the art style. The Fool, be open to new beginnings. Everything is not always as it seems. Oh wow, that's a beautiful magician here. Transcend reality with ingenuity. You shape a magical future. Yeah, it's surreal, and it does remind me of that. So I'm thinking I know already which decks to pair with. So the High Priestess, seek the truth through your insight. The answers lie within. Absolutely, but it's still okay. So let me just say this. Yes, it is very much surrealist when it comes to the elements in the art style, but if you pay attention, there's still elements that are actually common to tarot, which leads me to think that Nonara Mingjun actually knows about tarot. So we got the B and the J, we got the moon, for example, Torah. So it does give me that, the idea that there is still symbology related to tarot. The Empress. Okay, with the crown, the poppy flower, trust your sacred intuition, nurture unconditional love. So nurturing. The Emperor, that's a very interesting Emperor. I would always prefer my Emperors to be, elderly, because the Emperor to me also needs to reflect experience and wisdom, but with age, not just with what they do or what they say. But I'm open to something different. So this is a very young Emperor, but I love the fact that the sprouting antlers, and the fact there is this yin and yang that you can see here between the sun and the moon. So your authority grows when power emerges from discipline. Absolutely, fair enough. And the Hierophant, which is ironically, we got a very young Emperor, but an elderly kind of Hierophant, with a swan, which I really like. Ask for guidance, an enlightened soul is near you. That's a really beautiful way to look at the Hierophant. Obviously, it will give you guidance, of course. Nice, I like that. And the Lovers, really beautiful, very, very inspired. It feels like there's a lot going on in the card, and I'm just only now noticing a few details, like this character is pregnant, I believe, and these are poppy flowers, but they are yellow. So unity awaits you at the crossroads, come together. So I love it because it really does suggest a sense of movement. And for me, the Lovers cards should be also implying movement. My way of implying movement in the Lovers cards is about choice. So you need to, there's a moment of stillness, and then, but the mind is always churning, because you need to take a side. You need to make a decision. Obviously, if you think about the way in which the Lovers card is depicted in the Marseille Tarot, almost all of them, you will remember that there is definitely, this element of choice. There is Cupid, with the arrow, and there's the male in this case, but obviously you can see alternative versions with more inclusivity. But there's always, generally speaking, traditionally, there's a male that has to choose between two females. And so there is the element of choice, and obviously there is stillness in the card, but there's a lot going on in the guy's mind because he has to choose. So I like the fact that in this case the movement is provided with the fact that there is this invitation that just go to the crossroad, go wherever that crossroad is, come together, because there is this sense of unity that will come out of that. The Chariot would move forward with determination, leave the past behind, using the Zebra again. I like that. And the Strength card with the Fox, absolutely love it. Really like this card with the fog as well. So the fog to me is very symbolic, probably because of where I come from. I was born in a region in Italy, in the Padana Plains, and so close to Venice, let's say, and there's always fog. Even in Venice City, there's a lot of fog in winter, especially because of the canals, obviously. But there's a lot of fog in the area where I was born, to the point that at my time, your driving instructor, before you took your license, took you to drive in the highway during early morning. There will be always fog in winter. And so I actually did not as a test. So it wasn't part of a test, but when I was taking driving lessons, we would go and and drive in the middle of the fog. And those in the highways you have some various systems. Technology comes to help, obviously, because it is very dangerous, as you can imagine. Lots and lots of people lost their lives in very specific places around the area where I was born. So fog to me is always, on the one hand, really scary. But on the other hand, really focusing. So I always focus whenever I see fogs. It's just a reaction, even when I'm not driving, because I know how important it is to be at the top peak of your performance, let's say, especially when you're driving. And so to me, it's almost as if it were telling me that strength requires focus. There is fog around, and maybe things don't necessarily look as they are. So you really need to go and try as much as you can to see beyond this fog that is in front of you. So I like that. The Hermit, really beautiful with the lighthouse and the sea. Really beautiful. I love the fact that there is this reminder about the light, because obviously the lighthouse, but also this idea that the Hermit is doing what this boat is doing, so it's following the light, but it's done with the water element. Love it, absolutely love it. And the Wheel of Fortune, okay, cycle of changes. Yes, of course. Sorry, I just didn't immediately get the reference, but love it. Justice, restore balance. Fairness, reinforces your purpose. Fair enough. I would have loved to see, she's closing her eyes, right? So it's almost as if she were blindfolded, but I would have loved to see some kind of a balance, a scale. There is something here that is kind of appreciated for its weight, so there is a reminder of that. Okay, I cannot really, I don't understand this. Okay, the Hanged One, life on hold, tap into new perspectives. So I get that this person is still obviously floating. They are hanged by a leg. I cannot see the foot on this leg. You know what? Let me just quickly go into the Hanged One. Life on hold, tap into new perspective. Let's just have a look at what the guidebook says, because I'm not entirely sure I understand this. Maybe I'm not looking at it in the right way. So pause, bow, and back away from your current situation to observe it from totally different perspectives when life is on hold. When releasing what has been holding you back, you invite divine wisdom to flow through you, upheld by higher forces. Wait in these moments of clarity for a while. Surrendering prompts radical changes. Unconscious sacrifice in times of suffering and loss is not a punitive action upon yourself, but a path to spiritual empowerment. Okay, but it doesn't really talk about the image. Okay, fair enough. It does read like the Hanged One, and it's a very nice entry for the Hanged One, so I'm fine with it. Can you please let me know if you have this deck and you've used it for a while, and maybe I need to stay with it for a couple of weeks and look at it again. To me, it looks like this person is missing a foot, but maybe because there is that thing about bending your leg in the Hanged One to form the number 4, with your leg. So maybe maybe it's folded and I just can't see because of that. But it will be interesting to know what your opinion is. So death, okay, detach yourself from the endings, welcome the rebirth, absolutely. Love also that this person is an elder person. And the Temperance card, very young, with, you know, these wings. Divine intervention sets the equilibrium you need. Also, I would have loved to see the element of water in this card, but that's fine. The Devil, okay, interesting. Let go of dependencies, free yourself from fears. I don't know about this card. What do you guys think? I mean, I obviously love the keywords, or let's say the sentence at the bottom of the card, let go of dependencies, free yourself from fears. Absolutely, I like it. There's this sense of reminding yourself that you are the ones that can free yourself. So a reminder to the Eight of Swords as well. I would probably, I'm not entirely sure about the two figures. It looks like they're twins, and I'm just gonna let you know what happens in my mind right now when I look at this photo of this card. It just reminds me so much of the movie The Shining, because there's several scenes in which there's the evil, not the evil twins, I mean, poor twins, they're not evil, they're just being killed, they've been butchered by their dad, it's not their fault. But they roam the corridors in the hotel, the Overlook Hotel. And so where Danny is playing and he's using his tricycle and just, rolling down these corridors, and sometimes he actually sees the twins. And sometimes, so Kubrick was a genius, absolute genius. And I believe that sometimes he was showing us the twins from the back, so he was putting the camera behind them, and sometimes at the front. So this reminds me of those scenes, but that's because I watch horror movies and I read horror books. So maybe if your mind is not influenced by so much horror, maybe you will see it in a different way. So let me know. The Tower, love it, really love it. I would have loved it to be probably like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, a bit leaning. Radical changes come with new opportunities hanging there, absolutely. The Star card, yeah, beautiful. To me, everything that speaks about going home and being guided home is a perfect star. My favorite star card, as you guys know, is from the Slow Tarot, because it does have those elements. Keep the faith, the world is full of miracles. So then the Moon card, navigate across illusions, follow your instinct. Okay, and the Sun, loving this Sun card. Manifest your greatest dream with goodness. I like it. There's still the element of the youngster and the sun, obviously, and the horse, but it's not, naked babies, so I like this. And Judgment with all of the planets. Elevate yourself in awakening. Show up for your life calling. And then the World card with all of these stars, which I really like. And it looks almost as if she either holding a globe, as you can see here, or her hand is a globe. So it is surrealist in nature, this art style. So I'm kind of okay now to notice this kind of element. Orchestrate your next chorus, the completion is glorious. Okay, so we start now with the Suit of Wands. So what I'll do, I'll just go quickly through the other cards. And wow, it's a very sober Five of Wands. Disengage yourself from rivalries and frictions. I don't know what I will have to spend some time, and the Seven of Wands on a boat. So I will have to spend some time with this deck. I'm so very grateful to the person that sent it to me. It's also because, oh, look at this Ace of Cups. The seeds of love you sent to help breed fresh starts. Loving this idea of whispering starts, and it's almost as the stars are just coming out of the this character's mouth with their breath as well. Really love it. So as I was saying, I am very grateful to have received this deck as a gift, because I'm always interested, I'm always intrigued when a deck challenges me. So I really like that. The possibility of challenging my beliefs and double checking myself, not to become complacent. I mean, look at the Hierophant card. The Hierophant card of the character tells you that you need to keep learning when you're teaching because you don't want to become obsolete, right? And so I'm teaching tarot to my members. We're doing a course. And I need to check my beliefs. I need to check what I think about tarot when I talk about a card. And I need to see whether what I believe about the card and what I teach about it is still relevant and it's not old or obsolete. And I need to evolve with my knowledge together with it. Loving this Princess of Pentacles. So really beautiful, I have to say. The art style is absolutely amazing. I love it. It is slightly bigger than what I would love because you guys know me, I do have a little bit of pain in my fingers. It is what it is, so this one might not be as easy to shuffle, but I just wanted to quickly do a bit of a pairing because you know me, I always like to pair tarot and oracle decks together, so let's see what I can use. Okay, I want to try first with a deck that is not surrealist, or rather it kind of is actually, but it's not in the way that we remember, like for example the Tarot of the Mystical Moment. So I've got the Oracle of the Mystical Moment, so I will try that one in. But first I wanted to try the Wisdom of the Wild Things Oracle. This has been written by Angie Sallins, and it feels like lately every time there's a deck around, it's like this has been written by Angie Sallins. She's made so many. Anyway, I love her. And Eva Boniva is the artwork artist. So let's just have a look at how these two pair together. However, I'm just noticing now, or remembering rather, that this deck has a very, as you can see, very glossy finish. So it might not be the best when comparing these two, when pairing them up. But it doesn't really matter because with the camera, with this angle, you don't necessarily see the difference in cardstock. I just felt that it could have been a nice pairing because of, there's a lot of, let's say, characters that are a bit whimsical in the Wisdom of the Wild Things, as you can see here. Bury Your Dead, I love this deck, I love it. With the Ten of Cups and the Emperor. I don't know, but let me guys think. Nothing really comes to mind. Although it does here, for example, because we do have a pigeon here, pigeons here and crows here. So it says guard the nesting ground with the Ten of Wands and the Devil. Ooh, really powerful. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, that checks. So there's a lot of birds in both these decks, so that might actually work. There's obviously a lot of resonances between the two cards on the sides because they do belong to the same deck, obviously. But I'm liking that we do have sometimes, you know, this conversation that actually takes place between the cards. So we've got the Be Yourself between the Five of Pentacles and the Magician. You know, yeah, you're being left out in the cold, but sometimes you need to value your skills, you know, be yourself and recognize that you're still worth it. It's just that sometimes you go through some tough times in life and, you know, you just need to remind yourself of who you are and what you can be and what you can do. Communion with the Three of Cups, absolutely, and the Empress. Wow, spot on, absolutely. And maybe we'll get, you know, more out of these two if we just focus on the keywords and perhaps even the sentences at the bottom of the tarot cards. So remember the Wooby. Absolutely love this card because I had a Wooby when I was little. It wasn't called Wooby, it was called Cocky. And it was a stuffed beagle, my favorite. So much so that when I completely destroyed it, because, you know, let's face it, I mean, kids are not necessarily soft with toys, I cried until they replaced it with one that looked exactly the same. And it wasn't that easy because it was a Trudy soft stuffed animal. So if you know this brand, Trudy, I don't know, it was very popular in Italy and the rest of Europe, I imagine, when I was little. And years ago, I don't even remember where I was, I found a shop that only sold Trudy stuffed animals, and my heart just went, oh my god, singing. So I had a stuffed animal by Trudy, but by the time I've destroyed it, it was difficult to find the same because they do kind of, you know, replace them quite often, and so they had different ones. But yeah, my parents were able to find another beagle. Intentional stillness with the chariot, that's really interesting, because the chariot is about, you know, going through and going ahead and winning and, you know, overcoming all the obstacles. So there is this sense of movement that is implied with the chariot, and there is movement here. But intentional stillness is almost as if it were telling me to, you know, sometimes you need to take a break, take a moment before you go and conquer the world with the Fool. Take action with the Ace of Wands for sure, and the Five of Wands. Interesting. So I don't know, let me know what you think. I don't think this is the best of pairings. I promise you I've got something that would definitely work a lot better in here. So let's just go ahead and use a different deck, because if it doesn't come naturally, it's perfectly fine. Like, it doesn't always have to be a perfect pair. You know what I mean? But if it doesn't come naturally, don't be afraid of trying something else, because it's perfectly fine. Sometimes it's also a matter of for the decks to acknowledge the presence of the other, you know, just try and see whether they have this kind of conversation, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So we just need to be open-minded, and also we need to have plenty of resources. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and pair it with the first oracle deck that came to mind. So this is the Oracle of Mystical Moment by Catherine Veldstein. So earlier I think I only said Catherine Velds, it's Veldstein. And let's have a look. I also have the Tarot of the Mystical Moment, which I really, really like. But I just want to see whether these two go hand in hand together. It looks like we're looking at something that pairs up nicely. Definitely better than the Wisdom of the Wild Thing. So look at this. So the characters have a very similar hairstyle with flowers on their hair, both of them. So this is really nice. Sometimes I look at these things and I think it's almost like the decks were giving me the thumbs up, as in, yeah, you finally found the right pair, stick with it, it's gonna be okay. So let's see, lots and lots of flowers, lots and lots of buildings in both the decks, as you can see here. Definitely surreal, both of them. A lot more probably the Mystical Moments rather than the other one. But as you can see here, so it looks to me like these two characters, these two kids, obviously, are very similar, except that they are in a different kind of stage of their lives. But in here, they're both under the sea, I'm imagining, because, you know, you can see here fishes here, fish here. And also, you know, there's this sense of combination between the kid with algae for hair, and it looks like it's a jellyfish at the bottom here. And so there is a very strong connection between these two cards. So we got the Sea Witch and the Seven of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles. So it seems to tell me that you need to look away. So you see the directionality here. The character is looking at me through the fourth wall, but at the same time, the directionality is towards this card. So it's almost as if it were saying, look away from the Eight of Pentacles, which is the doubling down in the work that you're doing, but at the same time, you know, depending on the cards around it, but it seems to tell me that you're too engrossed in what you're doing, even though it is required by the work that you're doing, but sometimes you should step away from that, you know, in order not to make mistakes, but or in order also not to exhaust yourself. And so look at the Seven of Cups and just realize that there's so much on offer, and you don't necessarily have now the knowledge which is necessary to choose and pick something. So it is intriguing, I would say, very beautiful from an aesthetical point of view. I would say they really pair up nicely. Again, with the flower on their hair, it is a common element between the two decks, and I'm just loving it when, you know, you can see that when it happens. So if again with the directionality, no rain today, looking at the Prince of Swords. Altruistic ambition brings success as your mind floats in confidence. I don't associate confidence with a page, not even a Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is, to me, is constantly asking why things happen and how do they happen. And it's always about, investigating the root causes of everything and trying to absorb as much knowledge as possible. There's no confidence in that. It will come, and that's probably the goal, achieving confidence through knowing something. But no rain today. This card is telling me just go on your flight of knowledge. It's time to go. With the Seven of Swords on this side, that's very interesting, because obviously the Seven of Swords is all about having to deal with a situation that requires you to do something that's not necessarily something you want to do. But it says here, uncontrollable thoughts entangle you. Eight of Swords. Sorry, my bad. It's not the eight. But these glasses. Sorry about that. Okay, so Eight of Swords, uncontrollable thoughts entangle you, refine them for a new chapter. So free yourself from all of this that is stopping you. I like the fact that it's referring to the suit of the mind, because the uncontrollable thoughts entangling someone. So I really love this reference to the Eight of Swords. Very great knowledge of tarot. And you'll always hear me saying that, okay? Let me just say something right now, and I'm going to stick to it forever. If a tarot creator nails the suit of swords, as in understands the alchemical influences, the suit of the mind, the alchemical element of air, etc., you will always hear me saying they know their tarot, okay? They know their tarot. Even if the Three of Swords will be still depicted like a heart that is being pierced by three swords, you will still hear me say that if they nail the suit of swords, they know tarot. Because that is not necessarily the most difficult one to learn, but it is the easiest one to misunderstand. So secrets between the Hanged One and the Four of Pentacles. Secrets because I don't understand whether the person still have their foot or not. Home in the sky with the Ten of Pentacles, absolutely really gorgeous. And the World card, absolutely. Look at these two together. They really pair up nicely. I am very happy. So there's another one that I want to try, so bear with me, because I think that we've got a 10 when it comes to pairing with the Oracle of the Mystical Moments. But there's another deck that I think will pair up quite nicely with this one. So let's just put some volume in these two stacks of cards. And so the next deck that I want to try out is this one here by Christefania. So this is the Love Oracle. And the reason why I want to pair it up is because it gives me a lot of mystical moment vibes, but at the same time, it feels like it's somehow deeper into relationship style. Like if I do a relationship focused reading, for example, I feel called to use this deck as well. So the Love Oracle. And let's have a look, because the art style, as I said, very, very much surreal as well as the mystical moment. It does, by the way, I don't know if you have this deck, please let me know. Did it happen to you as well that the gilding is just literally coming out and it's just, yeah, I don't know if you can see, but it's in my fingers now, which is a pity. I mean, I love glitter, but not on my fingers when it gets transferred to other decks that don't have a glittery kind of edge. So let's see, because I'm very curious to see if these two pair up as nicely as the Oracle of the Mystical Moment. I feel like there is, perhaps because of the keywords on this deck, there's an additional layer of interpretation that is given to me as possibility to read the cards. Loving the fact that there is this lighthouse with the light going into this direction, and because there's a lot of fog here, it's almost as if it were telling me, hey, you're traveling, you're going somewhere. You know, there is this huge trunk, and obviously it is the Nine of Wands, so obviously it points to the fact that you're already exhausted and more likely than not also wounded, injured, and so, but you still need to keep going because you're not there yet. So follow the light from the lighthouse with wisdom. But there's also the Three of Swords here. So the Three of Swords, loving the fact that it's depicted this way. So let me just show you, and let me just say to you what I feel as my first impressions when I look at this card. Okay, there is someone lowering their eyes, almost as if they were closed, but I like to think that it's just lower than not closed. And in the mind of the person, because you can see clearly, this is almost as if it were showing you the film that is going on, the movie that is going on in their mind and what they're thinking. And there is someone accusing, raising their arm. I don't know if you can see it because it's really tiny. There is a figure that is raising their arm and accusing one of these two other characters. So it really points to the overwhelm of the mind. This is the suit of the mind. It's the suit of swords. So there's something that is going on. This character is thinking and rethinking, probably tormenting herself, thinking about what has happened in the past. You know, when it resurfaces, it's like 3 a.m. and you suddenly wake up and you have, panic attack because you remember that 15 years earlier you said something that was stupid. Remember? Remember that feeling? So this is very similar. It feels almost as if you were a bit more serious than that. But let's have a look at what the sentence is at the bottom of the card. Release grief from disruption. Open wounds are to be healed. The release grief from disruption. So it's almost as if we were telling you to acknowledge your grief. This is obviously the first aid for broken-hearted tarot, right? So I'm thinking about this and it does resonate with me. I'm kind of trying to fight off, and at the beginning of this video you will remember that I said I'm a weak as speech because I'm still in pain, I'm still crying, and I'm still brokenhearted because I think about my Missy that passed away in January, and I'm fighting against my feelings of being brokenhearted because I think, come on, you should move on, it's been enough time. But that is a disruption. So maybe this card is inviting me to just focus on these feelings, face them head on, accept them because they are still part of myself, and at the same time let the wound heal. So loving this. And it feels like it's a 9 of Wands situation because I am exhausted. So, when you fight it off, you're just emotionally exhausted. Yes, I'm liking this. And I feel like these two, even though from an aesthetic point of view, it feels like the Oracle of the Mystical Moment pairs up better with the First Aid for Broken-Hearted Tarot. But when it comes to the meaning of the cards and the way in which I read these two together, it's probably best with the Love Oracle. So this is just my first impression. I would definitely feel like the art style is not exactly, it's ballpark, but it's not the same planet, you know what I mean? When it comes to fear and courage between the Queen of Pentacles and the Fool. So it really, it does give you the possibility to read really deeply into the cards. So I'm liking it. I'm really liking the butterflies, between chaos of the Six of Swords. Of course you're in chaos because you don't want to go to the other side and you don't want to cross the river. You don't want to leave something behind, but you have to, right? Loving these decks. So thank you so much for this deck. You know who you are. It's just really a cherished gift. Okay, moving on, and I realize it's going to be a very long video, sorry about that. It's just that I like trying and see straight away if there's a deck that calls me to use together with another deck. I just want to try and see straight away if it works or not. And I like the idea that I'm also showing you that sometimes I make mistakes and perhaps, I felt like a deck would pair up nicely, but it doesn't really work out, and so you just move on. You try and you move on. So in the meantime, I just I removed the wrap of this deck and without saying what deck it is. So it is the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle. It's been on my list for a while because this one has been illustrated by Tihana Lukovic, who's the illustrator of most of the Season of the Witch Oracle decks. But this is two different publishers, okay? So the Oracle decks, the Season of the Witch Oracle decks are published by Rockpool, whereas this one is being published by Watkins, actually, Watkins Publishing. So it's not the same. It is, however, still witchy in vibes, and it is with the, as you can clearly see, this is very familiar. If you do have those oracle decks, this image will be very, very well known. So this is by Claire Gogoty, and obviously, as we said, Tihana Lukovic has been illustrating 40 cards for wandering through the forest of your subconscious. So this one has actually been recommended to me for shadow work. The witch, it is called the Witch's Shadow Work, duh. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the guidebook, because I just want to see the content. So introduction, what is shadow work? How to use the cards, the 4 suits. So it does come in 4 suits. Keeping a shadow journal. And the 4 suits are the following: the natural world, and then we got the dream world, and then we got the imagined world and the invisible world. And let's have a look at how to use the card. So the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle does not promise to have all the answers, but it is a useful tool, a prompt for your shadow work. It is a good place to start when working with and trying to understand your shadow, so that you can face what it conceals rather than push it away and ignore it. Okay, fair enough. There's a couple of spreads, as you can see here. Just 1 card, 3 cards, 5 cards, and that's it. And then it talks about the 4 suits. So let's just have a quick read about the 4 suits. The natural world, animals, natures, the moon, and the stars all have much to teach us. These cards release your wild and unruly side in a good way. Then the dream world, what lies in the subconscious often comes to light in dreams. What you dream can give you clues. What you dream can give you clues and symbols that will help you understand your shadow side. Sorry, I struggle to read that sentence because there's a bit of a mistake here. What you dream can you give? No, it's what you dream can give you clues. The imagined world, fairy tales, myths, legends and folklore are populated by archetypes and life lessons which resonate with shadow work, of course. Loving that. And then the invisible world, hurtful experiences in childhood, yeah, can linger unseen in the subconscious but manifest in behaviors and emotions in adult life. These cards help to process them. So if you're a Starlight member and you've been for a while, we've done a whole 3 months intense work on healing the inner child's wound. And we've talked about this, and it's totally fine. I 100% believe this. In the formative years, any kind of trauma can resurface in your adult life, can literally shape your adult life, and in many, many situations. So it is very important to acknowledge that. So I'm liking that. I like the way in which this is structured. And so for each and every card, we will have a couple of pages, which is really cool, as you can see here. It is in black and white, but it's fine. So the mask, for example, belongs to the dream world. The mask asks, how would someone describe you to someone else? Wow, this feels like, okay, you know what? I'm having goosebumps because this reminds me of my very first impressions when I presented to you the Cries of the Souls oracle cards. And I was like, whoa, this is very strong, very powerful. So definitely a shadow work oracle deck, both of them, Cries of the Souls and this one. And I just need to read this about the mask because it puts me in a very conducive predisposition, but also there's a lot going on within myself. When I read something like that, how would someone describe it to someone else? Would I really love to know that? I'm not entirely sure that I would. But really, wow, very strong. There is a long tradition of wearing masks in rituals throughout the world. The tradition continues within modern witchcraft. The high priest wears a mask with antlers. The Yoruba people of Nigeria fashion masks from wood to transform the wearer and communicate with animal spirits and gods. By putting on a mask, the wearer conceals their identity and adopts another that enables different behaviors, something we all do in everyday life. So then, okay, so there is a little bit of a reference to Carl Jung. I was wondering that. And you say, what others think of me is their own business and does not affect me. What? Make a shadow mask. Okay, so there is a bit of a practice also, recommendation here. Find a piece of card and draw a simple oval life-size outline of a face. Cool. Really, really cool. I am already liking this deck a lot. So it is also, you know, semi-gloss, not as gloss as the Oracle of the Mystical Moment that we've seen earlier. These are the backs, by the way. There's a little bit of damage to a card here, but it's not a deal breaker. It's okay. They're not gilded, and it feels like they're very sturdy, very thick, but very flexible as well. This is the kind, apart from the gloss finish, which is not my favorite, but other than that, this kind of cardstock is fantastic. You can use it a million times, and you know, it will still show up to do some really good work. So the hare, the raven. So obviously here we look at these cards and it feels like we're looking at archetypes, but it could also be, you know, situations as well. The bat, the flower girl, the judge. So that would be really interesting. I don't feel like pairing it up, ironically, with any of the oracle, Season of the Witch oracles, because this is a different kind of work. This deck is inspiring me to do. That's the mask. We just seen it. So they are not numbered. Ouch. They're not numbered. So in order for you to find the entry in the guidebook, you have to go through the table, the index in the table of contents. It's not a big deal, but I would always prefer to have my cards numbered, especially because they do belong to different categories, and it's kind of important the order in which you read them. And let me just double check something, if at least, okay, they do divide them. They do show you different, let's say, images on the corners of the cards here for you to know, at least identify what suit they belong to, which is great. Very happy about that. So we got flowers here, then you got butterflies, and then you got rabbits or hares, and then you got birds. So okay, so that's okay, because at least I would know which section of the book to go to find the card. So I have half an idea of pair, but I don't know if it's gonna work, so bear with me. But let's pair it up with a couple of oracle decks and a tarot deck. Let's see. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. I also removed my face camera because I feel like I really need the entire space here. So what I'm doing, I've actually tried this. I stopped filming and I felt like doing something, and I tried it for like half an hour or so. So it actually, I believe that it works. So let me show you and let me explain what I'm going to do here. First of all, I am using 4 different decks. So this one is the one that we've just seen, is the Witch's Shadow Work. Then I'm using this deck here, which is the Folklore Oracle. Now, the Folklore Oracle, interesting fact, has been illustrated by Jada Rose, and Jada Rose was the original illustrator of the Simon and Euler versions of the Season of the Witch Oracle decks. So obviously they moved from Jada Rose into Tihana Lukovic, but I think that their art styles actually kind of match, or if they don't necessarily match, at least it's not a let's say it's not a slap on the face to see them together. Like, they kind of integrate in a way, and I really like to see them like that. So this one has been illustrated by Jada Rose, this one by Tihana Lukovic. And then what we've got here is actually the Mercury, Salt and Sulfur oracle cards that you found inside the tarot deck Solana Occulto Meliora. Okay, so this one is a tarot deck. It's a recent, I don't know, it's a Kickstarter campaign from a couple of years ago. It came with the Solana Occulto tarot cards, but also with a few of the cards out of the Mercury, Salt and Sulfur oracle deck that was by the same creator. I don't have the original of this oracle deck. I wish I did. because it's got more cards and I really love them, but I'm happy with these ones. And then instead of taking the Solar Occulto Meliora, which is rather large, it's got the same size as this one, I took my trim version of the Solar Occulto, which was on the second edition from 2020. When I didn't know that it would have become such a rare deck and hard to find, I actually trimmed it down. I kind of regret it now, but you know, what's done, it's done. I mean, I like it this way, but yeah, it would have been nice to keep it in the original size. So what I'm doing is I'm using this deck to tell me a situation, this deck to tell me work that I need to do within the situation. This deck is telling me how to move on, let's say. So if you're not familiar with Mercury, Salt and Sulfur, you always hear about them when it comes to alchemy. And so they are known as the Tria Prima, and they are basically fundamental principles that represent, Mercury represents the spirit, Sulfur represents the soul, and Salt represents the body. So they belong to all matter, represent all matter, so they're not divided by the four alchemical elements of fire, air, water, and earth. So this is really interesting because I always loved alchemy. I've been studying it for many years, and there's a lot of alchemical decks out there, but I don't necessarily think that they nail the concept of, or not all of them, let's say, nail the concept of alchemy, but the references that you can find here, and even more so in the original Mercury, Salt and Sulfur Oracle deck, you will see the fundamentals of, let's say, alchemy in reference to the Tria Prima. So this is basically telling me what to do, because they represent, as we said earlier, they represent all matter, and they will give me an idea to how to process. So alchemy is the study of transformation, right? Between one status of the matter into another. So it's the process of transformation that we're interested in. We need to transform something. So this is going to give me, let's say, the situation. This is going to give me what to do. What should I focus on? This is what going to tell me how to do it. And obviously the tarot deck is always giving me situations, is always giving me a little bit of an insight into these three cards. So what I'm going to do, instead of just flipping the card now that I've shown them to you, I'm just going to do an actual reading. So bear with me, this is not the first reading, that's the first time that I'm doing these readings. And let's have a look at what the results are. So I will pick a card from here, card from here, card from here, and then I will probably pick 3 cards from the tarot deck. Let's see. Okay, so I have already shuffled all of the decks, so I'm just gonna give it a much quicker one here just to initiate the ritual, let's say, and let's just spread the deck here. By the way, this one is also a relatively recent kind of deck. Okay, I want to go here. And we got the forest, already very interesting. So I'm just gonna, I don't know the layout yet, but I'm just gonna put it here also because of, let's say, logistics, if I don't have a lot of room. So let's see. The forest, what lies in the depth of the shadow, the woods. It's already very powerful, right? And then I'm gonna pull a card out of this deck. So again, just a quick shuffle. And let's have a look. And I don't have much room to fan the deck out, but let's do it this way. This is only 40 cards. So let's put it here on the side. And which card is this one? So the authentic self. That's already very interesting. So it's almost as if it were telling me that I have been neglecting to show my authentic self or to acknowledge my authentic self, which makes sense because, as I was saying earlier, I have been kind of pushing me not to feel grief anymore, let's say, for the departure of my cat. So this makes sense so far, you know. It says here, it's asking you, what lies in the depth of the shadowed woods? Well, my authentic self, I've been denying it. I've been relegating it into the woods but it's shadowed woods, so it's woods that are not clear, they're not enlightened by knowledge or awareness. And then I'm gonna again just quickly shuffle the Mercury, Salt and Sulfur part of the Solar Occulto Meliora, and I'm gonna pick a card. Okay, I don't have much room left. Loving this deck as well. The reason why I'm not reaching out with the in search of for the Mercury, Salt and Sulfur, I've seen people selling it for $300-400, which I really, Australia, which I really don't want to pay for that deck. So here, oh my god. Okay guys, sorry. Okay, I need to take a moment, sorry. Okay, I don't think there's any necessity for me to explain how this has hit me right now. So I don't know if you can read here. It says grief. Okay, grief oracle, and yeah. Okay, so it looks like it's been planned. I promise you, it's not. But so let's go ahead now and pull 3 cards from the tarot. So this is the Solar Occulto tarot, but not the. So I don't even think I've ever seen the first edition. I don't think there's many differences between the first and the second edition. That's this one here, that's the second one. But it has been trimmed down because it had really huge cards and huge borders, and I didn't really like the beige color of the huge borders. So I'm just gonna pull 1 card at a time. I don't know whether I will need 3 cards. So let's just do this, and let's go here. Okay, so this is the King of Cups. So you know what we say about the archetype represented by the King of Cups, which is the Hades. It's the Lord or the protector of the guardian, as you wish, of the underworld. So obviously there is a reminder of something or someone that obviously has been crossing the veil and gone to the other side. And yeah, that's definitely, you know, but it's also, this card is also representing mastering of the emotions, because it obviously points to the suit of water. The suit of water is the suit of feelings. The suit of feelings, when you look at the core cards, you have this kind of evolution, and the king is always representing your mastering, your mastering doesn't mean suffocating, mind you. It means that you're just looking, acknowledging your emotions, and just you know, and you understand how to live with them. So that checks out, that really makes sense. And I got goosebumps. I honestly don't know if I am gonna be able to pull any other cards, but let me just, maybe another one, just another one, because I understand, I completely understand what the message is. It's almost as if it were telling me your true self, your authentic self, should not be hidden in the shadowed forest. You feel like grieving, and it's okay. You can reach mastering of your own feelings without necessarily having to suppress them. So that is a slap in the face, and honestly I had to pause more than a bit after I pulled this one, because it was just really a slap in the face. But I accept it, I get it, I accept it, and you know, fair enough. Let me just pull just another card, because I have feeling a certain way right now. I have a lot of feelings bubbling up. Let's see here. I'm pulling this one. Okay, so this is the Two of Wands. Okay, the Two of Wands is when you look at your world and you realize that it's small, and you want to, you feel like you're almost ready. It's not the Three of Wands, right? It's not the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands, you're moving on. In the Two of Wands, you feel like you're almost ready to move on. And I really like this message as well. Let's just stay with these cards, because honestly, I'm feeling a certain way right now, and I just feel like I need to take a moment for myself, and I need to probably work with these cards and work with this message. If you have all of these decks, I highly recommend them. I highly recommend this type of work to be done together, especially these two. And if you don't have the Mercury, Salt and Sulfur, or if you didn't back the Kickstarter campaign for the Solar Occulto Meliora, You can still find another deck that will tell you how to work on these feelings or the directions that have been given out of these two cards. These are two mass market decks and are very affordable. These two unfortunately are not. This one is Gonski and it's very hard to find. But in any case, I believe that these two are the main cathartic elements of this reading, and this is fine-tuning, you know what I mean? So really, really beautiful reading. I feel like I've been talking a lot. This is a very long video. I do have another 2 decks and a book that I want to show you, but I feel like right now I actually need to be with myself. And you know, and Missy, which is here, she's always here with me. As you can see, these are her some of her ashes in this crystal, and whenever there's a ray of light that goes through the crystal, it creates a rainbow. So apologies for that, but there will be a new video, okay, a new video with the other decks that I've got. It's just that this was really, really powerful for me, and I did not expect it to be affected this much by this reading. So in any case, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.